let me just cut straight to the chase, because if you're anything like me, you hate it when YouTubers waste your time with a 30-second intro about their coffee mug. The industry just got absolutely blindsided. According to early reports coming out of the major tracking platforms, an artist many had written off as a nostalgia act just pulled off something that hasn't been seen in over a decade. We're talking numbers so ridiculous that even the most optimistic label executives are reportedly doing double takes. And here's the first thing that stopped me cold. 1 million physical albums sold in 7 days. Not digital downloads, not streams counted 1,000 times over, actual plastic and cardboard flying off store shelves. In 2026, when everyone said physical music was dead. So how did this happen? And who's behind the comeback that nobody saw coming? That's what we're digging into today. And trust me, the rabbit hole goes way deeper than you think. Let me give you the headline that's breaking right now. According to industry data compiled by leading sales trackers, the album titled Kiss All the Time, Disco Occasionally, has officially become the highest-earning debut of 2026 so far. And when I say debut, I'm not talking about a new artist. This is a major comeback from someone who's been in the game for years. The first week physical sales alone hit that magic 1 million mark. But here's where it gets even crazier. In just the opening day within the United States, the album moved 430,000 units. That's almost 500,000 people buying an album on day one. To put that into perspective, most major releases today struggle to do that in a month. So why are these numbers so shocking? Because just 2 years ago, the same artist was being called past his prime by critics. Ouch. But wait, there's a twist that the headlines aren't telling you. According to sources close to the distribution channels, those physical sales numbers might actually be underreported. I know, that sounds impossible, but industry insiders claim that several major retail chains ran out of stock by day 3, meaning there was unmet demand sitting right there on the table. So the real number could be even higher once restocks hit. Now, let's talk about the streaming side, because this is where my personal opinion kicks in. The album reportedly racked up 140 million streams during its debut week. And honestly, that number is impressive, but it's not the biggest we've seen. Some pop albums have done double that. But here's what the data suggests. The fan base for this artist is older, more dedicated, and apparently obsessed with owning physical copies. That's a completely different audience than the TikTok generation. So why does that matter for the future of the music industry? Stick with me, because this next part is fascinating. Let me break down what these numbers actually mean in real-world terms. According to reports, the 430,000 US opening day units are the highest for any album since Q4 of 2023. That's nearly 3 years of dominance being suddenly overturned. And sources claim that the label themselves didn't expect this level of success. Their internal projections were apparently around 600,000 for the entire first week. They missed the mark by almost 70%. That's not just a win, that's a complete miscalculation of cultural relevance. But here's the curiosity gap that's been bugging me all week. Why this album? Why now? The title alone, Kiss All the Time, Disco Occasionally, is weird, right? It's awkward, it's grammatically confusing, and yet it's flying off shelves. According to some marketing analysts I've been following, the unconventional title might actually be a genius move. It forces you to stop scrolling and say, wait, what? But that's just speculation. The real reason might be something else entirely. Here's a mini payoff for you. The album debuted #1 in 17 countries simultaneously. That's not a typo, 17. And sources claim that in Japan, a market notoriously difficult for Western artists, the album sold out in over 200 stores within 48 hours. But just as you're processing that, I need to throw another loop at you. None of these numbers include merchandise bundles. According to recent rule changes by the major chart authorities, album bundles with T-shirts or concert tickets no longer count towards sales. That means every single one of these million physical copies was bought because people genuinely wanted the music. No gimmicks, no loopholes. That, right there, is the sound of an industry being forced to pay attention. But here's where I start asking the uncomfortable questions. Is this comeback sustainable, or is it just a lightning-in-a-bottle moment? According to trends I've observed covering this space, most novelty comebacks fizzle out by week 2. Remember all those legacy acts who shot to #1 for a hot second and then vanished? Yeah, me too. But the data coming in from pre-orders for week 2 suggests something different. Sources claim that second-week physical pre-orders are already at 300,000 units before Monday even hits. That's not a fizzle, that's a fire. And here's my honest, unfiltered take. I think we're witnessing a shift in how audiences value music. For years, streaming made everything disposable. You listen once, you forget, you move on. But this album, people want to own it, they want to hold it. And honestly, that's kind of beautiful. But don't get too comfortable, because the next part of this story might burst your bubble. According to reports from inside the streaming platforms, the 140 million streams for this album came with an unusually high completion rate. Normally, for a pop album, listeners might skip around, drop off after track 3, or just replay the hit single. But sources claim that over 70% of listeners played the entire album from start to finish. That's almost unheard of. It suggests that Kiss All the Time, Disco Occasionally isn't just a collection of singles, it's a cohesive body of work that people are experiencing like a movie. So why isn't every artist doing this? Well, the cynical answer is that it's incredibly hard to pull off. The honest answer is that most labels don't have the patience to let an album breathe anymore. But here's the new curiosity gap that's keeping me up at night. Who actually is this artist? I've been careful not to name drop yet, because I want you to feel the mystery. But according to every credible source, the artist behind this record wasn't even supposed to be making music anymore. Let me give you the context that's missing from the breaking news alerts. This same artist, just 4 years ago, reportedly walked away from a multi-million-dollar tour because he said, and I quote from an off-record source, "I don't recognize myself anymore." That's heavy. Since then, he's been living relatively quietly, dropping only a couple of low-key collaborations that didn't chart. Most people assumed he was done, but sources close to the production team claim that this album was recorded in complete secrecy over 18 months. No leaks, no paparazzi, no studio sightings. In an era where artists vlog every snack break, this level of secrecy is almost impossible. So how did they pull it off? According to one engineer who worked on the project, speaking anonymously, of course, the artist used fake studio names and recorded in 3 different countries to avoid attention. That's either brilliant marketing or genuine artistic obsession. Either way, it worked. Now, let me hit you with a number that actually made me laugh out loud when I first saw it. The album's biggest sales day wasn't release day, it was day 3. According to retail tracking data, Tuesday of release week saw 220,000 physical units sold, compared to 430,000 on Friday. That's a drop, yes, but the curve is usually much steeper. Most albums lose 60 to 70% of their momentum by day 3. This one only lost about 49%. That's an incredibly healthy retention rate. And here's the sarcastic observation I can't help but make. While everyone else is chasing viral TikTok moments, this artist just sold 1 million albums by doing the one thing the industry forgot about: making people actually care. Ouch. But before you think I'm just fanboying over here, let me bring in the reality check. According to some critics who've reviewed the album, not everyone is celebrating. A few have pointed out that the production feels derivative and that the lead single borrows heavily from early 2000s dance pop. Fair enough, but here's my counterpoint. The audience clearly doesn't care. When you sell 1 million physical copies in a week, critical nitpicking becomes background noise, and sources claim that the artist himself has reportedly laughed off the comparisons, saying in a private message that leaked to social media, "Everything's derivative if you look hard enough." That's not arrogant, that's just honest. But the next part of this story is where I think we all need to pay attention. What does this mean for the rest of the industry? According to several label executives who spoke off the record, they're already scrambling to adjust their 2027 release strategies. The old playbook was simple: push singles to streaming playlists, hope for a viral moment, then tour. But this album proved that a massive, dedicated fan base will pay for quality regardless of what the algorithms say. And here's the opinion I'll stand by. We're going to see more artists adopt this secret album, surprise drop, physical first approach. It creates scarcity, it creates word of mouth, and most importantly, it creates genuine excitement, not the manufactured kind. But I have to warn you, not every artist can pull this off. You need an existing loyal fan base, you need years of goodwill, and frankly, a really good album. As we wrap up the numbers, let me give you the final tally according to the most recent reports. 1 million physical sales globally, 430,000 in the US on opening day, 140 million streams, #1 in 17 countries. And here's the kicker. All of this happened without a single major televised performance, no award show stage, no late-night interview. The artist reportedly declined every single request. According to his management team's unofficial statement, he wanted the music to speak for itself. In an era of overexposure, that's either the bravest or the most insane move possible. And honestly, I respect it. So here's my final thought before I let you go. Whether you love this album or hate it, the story of Kiss all the time, disco occasionally, is a reminder that the music industry is still full of surprises. The rules keep changing, but one thing remains the same. People will show up for something that feels real. Now I'm curious, do you think this comeback will last, or is it just a one-week wonder? According to what I'm seeing, week 2 is going to tell the real story, and I'll be watching. So should you.